Hey guys, it's Scarlett, and today I'm going to do a get ready with me. I'm not really getting ready for the day. I have this really cool palette. It's called Don't Be Jelly by Unearthly Cosmetics. They have really beautiful colors, and I just want to play. So this is what it looks like. Basically a lot of colors that I wouldn't normally wear, but I just thought it would be fun to chat and do some unhinged makeup looks, really. So get ready with me. For the next couple of months, I will be writing a book. I will be writing Coiled at the Roots. I have half of the first chapter written, and I don't know how many chapters it's going to be. It's due April 1st. I actually feel really good about that timeline. I have an action outline of the plot for the book, so action-wise, I know what's gonna happen. It's honestly like the relationship dynamics that I'm a little less clear on, just because they have to feed into the overall action plot, and I just haven't gotten that far. But I'm really excited about the events that will unfold in Coiled at the Roots. And for those of you who don't know, Coiled at the Roots is the second book it's a sequel to Terror at the Gates. People have asked me how long this series is going to be. I don't know. I just go based on vibes, which means I never know how long a series is going to be, and I think nothing is more clear than the Hades and Persephone series, because I thought it was going to end with Malice, and then I got through Malice and I was like, fuck. What happened with Malice? I started writing it, and I was like, why am I just hitting a wall? And I realized that everything I thought was at the beginning of the book was actually at the end of the book. And that's when I realized I was gonna have to write a whole other book. But to be fair, that series got bigger, as in had more books than I ever expected, having gone and written Hades' point of view. So basically, it's just vibes for me, and I'm okay with that, and I think my readers are okay with that. Anytime I start a new novel, I always feel like I don't know how to write a book. Dude, I feel like I look like I went to a rave in the 2000s right now. So I was also asked, like, when I write characters, like how much of myself goes into those characters. And I don't really think about it until I get asked specific questions. I guess I do, you know, because something that you hate as an author, especially when you're younger and you have all these aspirations, you hate when people tell you that you just have to learn more and live more, and then you'll be a better writer. Especially someone like me who's been through so much shit as a child. And you just think, what more am I gonna have to learn, you know? But I do agree, now that I'm older. We'll see if I like this. I will probably hate it. So on the note of like having to live life to become a better writer, I do think there is something to it, because I think the mark of a good book is that it makes you feel, which means you have to have the wherewithal to communicate feeling and experience. And I think that's why some books really resonate with people, is that they grip you emotionally. It's also why some people don't like books, because they don't understand the circumstances the book is rooted in. And that's okay, because at some point I think we're all going through different things in our life. We're all experiencing different things in our life. So something that doesn't resonate now may resonate in 5 years. And I think like those experiences make it into my book over time. There are also things that I just struggle with, right? Terror at the Gates is a good example of that. You know, it's just really, I think, you know, a thoughtful approach to how I think about and how I struggle with institutionalized belief systems. So it's not necessarily like intentional, and I'm not trying to hit people over the head with, you know, my experiences. I'm just really like, it comes from such a genuine place of trying to figure out what I think. And I say this all the time, but a lot of times I don't know what I think until I like say it out loud. Do you guys feel like that? Do you ever, like, I don't know, until you get the words out of your head, until you see them on a page, you know, I don't know what I think. I think the joy of writing Coiled and having written Terror and A Christmas of Chaos, there was so much joy there. It was so fun, and that is what I'm constantly seeking when it comes to my work. And I will never forget, you know, writing A Touch of Darkness. I was so happy. It was so exciting. I think it's one of the challenges of being an author, right? Because your work is for the consumer. And at some point, like, your well-being is part of that. So of course you start worrying about what people think, and you can get away from what matters most, which is that you also love what you do. And I think after my dad died and after my brother died, I really struggled to find balance there. But I feel like I've gotten back to it recently. And it has just been so lovely to feel that love again. I've always loved my stories, but I think it's the process, being in love with the process. That's what I lost the love for. That's what I started to dread. And I don't want to dread any part of this dream I've had since I was 13. You know what I mean? The year has really just been dedicated to being grateful. And also, I love interacting with my readers. So finding the space and time to ensure I'm able to do that, that is another part of this year that I would like to focus on more. I will say that I forget how many of you exist out there, but I think it's because I underestimate my own reach. Because when I did the Christmas card thing, and I have no idea where I got this from, but I was like, I'll probably only have 300 signups. And then 1,000 of you came out of the woodwork in 40 minutes, and I was like, fuck. So that was my fault. These eyebrows are unhinged. You know, the other thing about like the world right now, like just publishing, and it can sort of feel just like a race, you know, to have like the next big thing. And I realized like that's not really my interest. My interest is in my readers and our community, and that is what is most important to me. Right, it's the people that got me here. I didn't come from a lot. And my dream since I was young, since I was 13, because listen, prior to 13, prior to reading The Lord of the Rings, you know, I just thought every household was always on welfare. And my plan for adulthood extended to getting help from DHS with my utilities. You know, I don't know, I just had this different idea about what it was like to be an adult. And then I read The Lord of the Rings and I was like, wait a minute. First of all, I can create a whole other world. And second, I was like, I want to be a world famous author immediately. Had no idea like what it took to become an author till later. Third, I was like, I want to travel the world, and traveling the world had never occurred to me before. But at this point, the Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers were out, and I learned via the internet that they were filmed in New Zealand, and I was like, I want to go to New Zealand. So literally this book gave me all these dreams. The other thing that I said from that age at 13 is that I wanted to inspire other people the way that Tolkien inspired me. So it gave me like all of these, I had all these dreams for so long, you know, and every decision I made from that point on was centered around being an author. Even when I went to college, I chose to major in English writing. I didn't do creative writing because I didn't want to go through the College of Journalism at OU. Then when I went to get my master's degree, I chose library science because I was like, I like books, which is a very naive thing to say when you go into library science, just FYI. But I also was like, maybe that will help with my goal of becoming a full-time author. And I did other things too once I became a librarian, like I made sure I had a financial advisor. I made sure I had extra, like a Roth IRA. So I did all this stuff as though I was prepping to be a full-time author one day. And everything that happened in 2020 when it went viral on TikTok or maybe it's 2021, 2019. I published A Touch of Dark. I published When Stars Come Out in 2018. I published A Touch of Darkness in 2019. 2020 was a building year, and then I think by the beginning of 2021, it was viral. I wasn't on TikTok. Y'all did that. So I am forever aware that I owe all of my success to my readers. Every day I get to live my dream because some people took a chance on me. That's amazing. Is that not fucking amazing? I'm just like, I just want to live in that moment and always remind myself of it no matter what. Also, that eyeshadow, I don't know if you can see my shirt, but it is so sparkly because that eyeshadow has so much fallout. Y'all, I'm literally gonna put this on and then I'm gonna hate it and I'm gonna wash my face after. This year is really, you know, my full intention is to find ways to be closer to my readers, even if we're miles apart. And you know, that's part of why I'm doing the journaling thing, why I'm doing these videos. I feel like I don't think I had the capacity to do it as much the last couple of years. These eyebrows look so bad. I just had to give myself space to grieve my family and my, you know, especially the things that happened that I didn't anticipate, like losing my brother. That was very shocking to me, and I was very angry. And you know, talk about things that happen that you don't expect, or strange ways that you can predict your own future. Let me tell you, spoiler alert for those of you who have not read A Touch of Ruin, but Alexa dies in that book and Persephone cannot handle it. And at the time, like, I hadn't even lost my dad yet, but I had spent a long time dreading his death, trying to mentally prepare for the day I would lose him because I feared it so much. And I wrote Persephone's reaction to Lex's death just the way that I thought logically she would react, which a lot of people are very frustrated with. Except that when I lost my brother, I was so angry. So this was in contrast to having lost my dad, which I will say, A Touch of Ruin also helped me let my dad go, because I knew, having written that book, I understood what it would be like for someone to hold on and have to live when it's not that they no longer want to, it's just that their soul is tired. And I knew when my dad got COVID and went on the vent that he was tired. And I knew if he stayed, it would be worse for him than if he went. So I understood that, and it helped me let my dad go. In contrast, when I lost my brother, when they told me that it had been 40 minutes and they hadn't gotten a heartbeat back, I didn't want to let him go. I would have traded anything to keep him here. And I was so mad. Like, I can't explain to you guys the anger, and I was shocked by my own anger over his death because I'd handled my dad so well, and I learned the lesson. I learned the lesson that keeping someone here when they were ready to go was not the right choice. But I would have still made that choice for my brother. And I think it's for two reasons. The first reason is that he was my twin. Is my twin? Still haven't figured out how I should say that. How should I say that? He was my twin. I had only known a life where he also existed in the world with me. From the moment, you know, literally we were conceived. The second reason is because he was only 33. And it just feels against nature to lose people that young. So these are like ways in which with the same story, I wrote two experiences I would eventually have with death. And having lost my brother and having heard this feedback from readers about how they get so mad with Persephone because of how she reacts to losing Lexa and the choices that she makes along the way, I actually felt so validated having written it because of the way I reacted to my brother's death. Because there is an isolation to it. Like, you start to feel like you're irrational. But you just never know how you're going to grieve, and that's okay. And I think having two representations of grief helps other people. And you may never know what this is like. You may not yet know what it's like. But either way, I hope what the book does, A Touch of Ruin, I hope it helps you process at least. Because I am thankful that I had those two versions that I could look at and say, oh, so this is why. And it's okay. And if that helps anyone else, right, then I am so grateful. So yeah, I think in those ways, I definitely do, like, sometimes inadvertently write my experiences. I probably write a lot of my fears. I explore what I think about the world, and I hope it feels, all my books in some way feel like a love letter to women and my readers. Some of you are men. You are all wonderful too. But let's face it, a lot of you are women. And I think in that way, I get to honor you. And I think it's in like small but big examples. Like, I felt like it was very important to write the sex scene in A Christmas of Chaos where Persephone was pregnant, and to do it well and right. And I said to my best friend, who I've been best friends with her since freshman year of high school, I was asking her all these questions about like pregnancy sex, basically. Thank you, Molly. And I said to her, I was like, this is so important for my readers because I know so many of them are moms. And so I'm not gonna skip over a scene that will be important for them to see representation in. So it's even in situations like that where I feel it is important to acknowledge and write something that resonates with you, resonates truly with you. I'm totally, though, an author. I follow my gut. I know what you all will love to see in my books. In the Hades and Persephone series especially, I will keep things that people will, probably a different traditional publisher would take out, but Bloom knows, like, my readership is like my first concern. This look is so bad. Like, oh God. It's not bad. However, I will be washing my face within the hour. This hair is unhinged. This is my little experimental look. I love this. I do love the eyeshadow. I just think I would do it differently, and I would do a different eyeliner. So that's all for this video. I'm hoping to do more little like chatty videos just so we can feel like we're FaceTiming, which I really love. So again, if you want to hear anything specific, if you want me to, like, I don't know, just tell me what you want to hear below. I will talk to you guys soon. I love you so much. Have the best day.